Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into TradeChat. My name is Panzer, and today we are going to be talking about World of Warcraft subscription numbers and what the heck they mean. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you do, remember to rate it thumbs up. The internet is going completely batshit crazy right now because in an interview with a Polish gaming magazine called Pixel, Tom Chilton revealed that World of Warcraft is currently around 10.1 million subscribers, and that the idea of reaching 12 million subscribers, which was World of Warcraft's peak number back in Wrath of the Lich King, was not out of the realm of possibility. And I'm gonna need everybody to take a deep breath and take a step back, because I want to go through and actually analyze why this is exciting and important and not worth freaking out about, okay? So first and foremost, let's talk about what exactly a World of Warcraft subscriber is. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself like, but Panzer, it's obviously anybody who pays a $15 a month fee to access World of Warcraft. That's what a subscriber is. No, it's actually not. And to be totally honest with you, until this morning, I did not know this. I always thought, and now just let me be clear, this is what I thought before I was corrected with the truth. I always thought that Eastern and Western markets did not count towards the same subscriber base, because in Western markets we pay a 30-day subscription fee, or you could pay, every 2 months or whatever, but we pay a monthly fee, whereas people in like Asia in the East are paying hourly because they play in internet cafes, because that's just the way their life works. So I never thought that those two numbers were related at all, because how would you relate them? Well, ask Blizzard, because they did it. They did it all right. Now, straight from the horse's mouth, according to Blizzard, a World of Warcraft subscriber that counts towards that number, that is currently 10.1 million, is anybody who has paid for their WoW account in the last 30 days or has an active game time card on their account. It also counts towards players who have an active subscription using the WoW token that can be purchased in the auction house. It also counts towards players who have recently purchased World of Warcraft and are within their 30-day free period of game time. And lastly, it includes anybody who has logged into an internet cafe to World of Warcraft in the last 30 days. It does not, however, include players that are like in a promotional thing. So the codes that were given out with Loot Crate or the Warcraft movie for like, here's the whole game in 30 days game time, they do not count towards that subscription number. In order to count towards like the free game period of time to be an active player, you actually had to pay for the game originally. Even if it was like on sale for $5, that's fine, it counts. If you got it for free, does not count, because that is a promotion. And I feel like we are all a little more well-informed now, and by we all, I mean me, because I didn't know this as of this morning, which is sort of inexcusable, because I've been making videos about World of Warcraft and data involved in World of Warcraft for many a year, and I am ashamed of myself, I really am. Now that we are all on the same page about what exactly a subscriber in World of Warcraft is, let's talk a little bit about the numbers over the years and I guess what they mean. So when the game launched in 2004, World of Warcraft had 1.5 million subscribers, which now doesn't sound like a big deal at all. It's like, oh, I lost more subscribers than that in the first month of Warlords, am I right? Ha ha ha. But no, at the time, this was an enormous amount of subscribers. It was way more than anybody at Blizzard anticipated, and it was sheer chaos. They had to stop printing the game because people were buying it faster than they could upgrade their servers to handle all of the people that wanted to play. In fact, by the end of vanilla, before Burning Crusade, World of Warcraft already had like, I want to say it was 8 million subscribers. Is that right? Yeah, 8 million subscribers before the end of vanilla. And then in Burning Crusade, by the end of that expansion, they were up to 11 million. By the end of Wrath, they were over 12 million, which is the highest World of Warcraft subscribers have ever been in the history of WoW. And that continued through Cataclysm. And Cataclysm is where we started to see the death of WoW. I'm kidding. People are very dramatic, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. By the end of Cataclysm, World of Warcraft had 9.1 million subscribers, which swelled back up to 10 million for the launch of Mists of Pandaria, which then went downhill to 7.7 by the end of the expansion, but back uphill for Warlords of Draenor, where we saw once again about 10 million subscribers at launch. But this is where things got real fishy for World of Warcraft. Fishy isn't the right word. Sucky is probably the right word. Because within 3 months, World of Warcraft went from 10 million to 7.1 million, and within another 3 months, they were down to 5.6 million, and that's when Blizzard stopped talking about subscriber numbers at investor meetings, because, reminder, we we only know about any of these numbers because these were numbers that were reported at Blizzard's quarterly financial earnings meetings with their investors. This wasn't for the player base. It wasn't for us at all. It was for people who have money invested in the company and want to know if they're going to be making money or losing money. And they're really hoping they're going to be making money. Whereas we just want to know because we're curious. We're curious humans. We're just curious little cats. While we're on this topic, let's talk a little bit about Blizzard not releasing subscription numbers at investor meetings anymore, because this is a very hot topic. Even still, it's been like well over a year, and even still people talk about this, how Blizzard doesn't do this anymore, and people are really upset about it. And by people, I don't mean the investors that are actually, got a whole stack of cash in literally invested into the company. I'm talking about players, and it's because we're curious, but we also, I think there are people who are like rooting for the game, but I also think there's people who are rooting for the game to fail, and this was their this was their number to base whether the game was alive or dead, which we're going to talk about this in a minute, but I think that's part of the problem of releasing subscription numbers. But I think the biggest reason that they stopped releasing subscription numbers is because it's not directly indicative of how much money they make, which is all investors care about. Like, do you want to tell your investors we're down to 5.6 million subscribers if your net losses, if say you lose 25% of your subscriber base, if you only lose 10% of your income in that situation, you're obviously going to want to soften the blow with the 10% as opposed to the 25%, especially since the 25% isn't directly relevant to the money, because it's not just a flat $15 a month. We just talked about this. It's, the people who are playing hourly. It's the people with their free subscriptions. It's the people with the $20 token subscriptions. So it's not really reflective of the actual cash flow. So is it relevant? Probably not. On top of that, I think it gave players a lot of fuel for WoW is dying, WoW is dead, no, it's doing so good now, no, it's doing bad. It was just like this really petty infighting based, once again, on numbers that didn't really reflect any life or death status of the game. Another little bit of food for thought in this regard is that maybe Blizzard wasn't so much hiding subscription losses as they were hiding how much money they make on microtransactions, because the reason they gave investors was, hey, we're not releasing subscription numbers at investor meetings anymore because we're just going to release revenue instead, because you guys like revenue, right? Right. Well, if they're releasing subscription numbers and the revenue is about the same, they are essentially telling their entire community, hey, we're making money hand over fist here off of microtransactions for vanity things that don't affect your gameplay at all. Which, for the record, I'm 100% what the industry would call a whale. If there's a microtransaction, I have microtransacted that, I promise you. I am very guilty of buying anything I can in the World of Warcraft in-game. I have a lot of stuff. But there are a lot of players who think that the very idea of microtransactions at its core is just wrong and evil. So Blizzard is not trying to put out there, hey, I know you hate this, but we're making so much money. Subscribers in any sort of MMORPG or anything in general, I guess, are always going to be kind of ebb and flow. There's going to be periods where the game is more popular, where it has more subscriptions. There's going to be periods where maybe another game is more popular, so there's going to be less subscriptions. That doesn't really say that the game is dead or alive or good or bad. It's just saying that people's interests vary over time, and that just because they're not playing right now doesn't mean they're not going to come back, and vice versa. So I don't think it's really indicative of the health of the community and the player base in general, because you could have a really, there are MMORPGs that have, all of them. Let's be honest here, all MMORPGs have significantly less subscribers than WoW, yet we don't hear debates about whether this game is dead or that game is dead. It's only World of Warcraft who is still leading the pack in subscribers by a comical amount. And releasing subscriber numbers is actually harmful to other games as well, because if World of Warcraft's yeah, we have 14.7 billion subscribers, actually it's so good, and then this new little MMORPG comes out and they're heavily scrutinized for only having, say, 100,000 players at launch, that game could have a perfectly healthy playing active community, and that 100,000 does not mean that their game is a failure. And I think comparing World of Warcraft at this time to World of Warcraft at that time, and the subscriber numbers of this game to the subscriber numbers of that game are just not necessarily helpful to the conversation when we could be talking about, what parts of the game did I used to like, what parts do I not like now, what parts do I like now, what parts didn't I used to like, rather than having a conversation about how to make the game better and how to make the community more active and more engaged and having more fun, people were just kind of talking about this arbitrary number, which didn't actually reflect much of anything other than who had an active World of Warcraft account. Now, my final thought on Blizzard not reporting subscribers before I move on is just that really no other games report their subscription numbers, and I don't think it leads to a healthy conversation. And considering the way that WoW subscribers work with your cafes and your monthly fees and your token and yada, 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 I don't think there's a way to lump all those players together to reflect any one group of people. I just think there's too many variables there to have that be a number that makes a whole lot of sense to use in conversation. So I like hearing it in press conferences, right? Like, or a press release or whatever you want to call this interview. I like hearing the numbers, but I understand why they're not telling investors their numbers. And I think it's important to remember that all of this information we've had for the past 12 years has been from investor meetings. It's not Blizzard being like, yo, players, I heard you like subscriber numbers, so I put some subscriber numbers on your subscriber numbers, dog. I'm sorry. TLDR, what we've talked about so far is that World of Warcraft has seen a lot of roller coastery type changes in subscriptions, particularly since about 2012. It doesn't really mean the game is alive or that the game is dead. They no longer report subscriber numbers in investor meetings because it's not a number that's really relevant to investors. And Tom Chilton let us know in a magazine this week that World of Warcraft is currently at about 10.1 million subscribers, which looks really good, but all of the expansions have launched at about 10.1 million subscribers. So is it really indicative of anything? I would say no-ish. No-ish, right? Because my ish there is that there were a lot of those promotional codes that did go out recently. A lot of them, like Loot Crate has, I know they've got at least a couple 100,000 subscribers every month, at least. Every single one of those people got a WoW code, whether they used it or not. Let's say half of those codes were redeemed. That's an extra 100. That's another 0.1 to the million, right? Like if those people decide to subscribe. You've got the people who may have gotten codes from the Warcraft movie. You've also got people that are still so actively engaged in the game right now that I'm still seeing new people coming in and new people playing and new people coming back. So I think with my anecdotal experiences in the game and hearing that they're at 10.1 million right now, which is a pretty steady number from where they launched at, and we're about 5 weeks in right now, I think it's a pretty good sign. I don't want to say like, oh, 10.1 million, game's alive, boys! Game's alive, because we've talked about this before. I'm very much on the hype train that WoW never died, but I also feel like, having 5 weeks in the expansion, seeing the stability of the subscriber numbers, and from my own personal experience, seeing how many people are getting on and playing and how many new people are playing and how many people are coming back, I think that when Tom Chilton said that that's possible, not potential, that it is possible for them to hit 12 million subscribers, like, I think that is a more exciting thing that was in that article than the actual 10.1 million. We sort of knew 10.1 million. If you were actually interested in digging apart the data that we had been given at launch, and we had a pretty good idea that it was around 10 million, but seeing that a month later they're still at 10 million and not seeing any huge dips, I think that's a lot more than we could have said for Warlords of Draenor. I mean, Warlords of Draenor lost 3 million subscribers in their first month. That's crazy. We would have already had to be down to 9. So I think that we're hearing from a developer that means a lot to the community as far as like, I don't go to bed at night and say my prayers to Tom Chilton or anything, but I think he's a respectable figurehead in the community, then I trust most of what he would say about the game. Like, I don't think 12 million is out of the realm of possibility with how good the game is right now, and I think it's really going to depend on how quickly and how quality the content they release is, because it's like they can push out content so quick, but if they're not timing it properly, that is really important. It's not just about like flooding us with so much content that we can't keep up, but it's about pacing it properly so that people are able to experience the content, and when they're getting to that point of boredom, new content is coming out. And with already knowing about Karazhan and Trial of Valor, and knowing that we're going to get Nighthold and this 8-week Suramar campaign and a new world event and new world quests and all of these things that are coming with the Karazhan attunement and the quest line leading up to Halls of Valor, like, no, Trial of Valor, my God. But I think you get what I'm saying. I just think there's a lot of reasons to believe that it's going in a good direction right now, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. But I'm not like doing a jig for 10 million because I don't think that's a particularly surprising or exciting number. I feel like we already knew that, and we've seen 10 million at the beginning of a lot of expansion launches. We've seen 10 million at a lot of expansion launches that haven't necessarily been regarded as the best expansions. And I also am really encouraged to see how many people on forums and stuff are saying things like, you know, we're going to have Warlords of Draenor, which was the worst expansion in World of Warcraft history, followed by Legion, which has the potential to be the best. So I am very optimistic for the future of World of Warcraft. I am optimistic to hear developers talking about the potential of 12 million subscribers again, and I just want to thank our Lord and Savior Harambe for making this all possible. He died for our sins. I'm really sorry. I know that meme is old and lame, but I'm old and lame, so we fit together like two peas in a pod. Anyways, I'm going to go. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about 10.1 million subscribers and the potential of 12 million subscribers. What are you thinking of Legion so far? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please thumb it up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I will be back soon with a video about the best things ever about Legion. Whoa! I'm really excited about that video, and I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. I love you so much. You're in my hearts. I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.